Um, Hi everyone, my name is Murjanatu Abubakar, and my supervisor was Emily Rutledge, and yeah, my topic is polygamy and the social representations of women in northern Nigeria. I'm very nervous, but I'm going to tell you how I got to this topic. Like with most adulting decisions, you call your mom, and that's what I did. And I was trying to explain to a pharmacist what social representations were. And at the end of the day, she just told me, she was like, okay, you know what? I don't really understand what it means, but everybody comes from a family, and family is big in Africa. It's everything. It makes you or breaks you. So that's how I got to my topic. And before I start, is there anybody that doesn't know what a polygamy is? Okay, great. Very intelligent audience. So, okay. Representations, first of all, to begin with, are reflections of mosaics of ideas about a society. They tell you who a people are, how the people became, and what their ideological discourse continues to be. So why did I choose polygamy as opposed to any other thing? Because where I'm from, polygamy is prevalent. Almost every other household is a polygamous family. And the kind of polygamy you practice in northern Nigeria is a polygyny. That means multiple women, one husband. And the more academic side of it is that there are some studies that indicate that actually marriage system does have an impact on the economic development of a country. And if anybody knows anything about Africa, we're always talking about development. That's all we talk about. And it's really under-researched. That's polygamy is really under-researched in Africa. People tend to overlook it and focus on HIV/AIDS and things like money when it comes to polygamy, but how does the family we come from affect how we think about the women in our lives? And social representation has been used by social scientists to look into a society. It's like putting up a magnifying glass closer to a society. Okay, what are these people about? And yeah. And okay, now, why did I choose women? Well, obviously I'm a woman, first of all. And then when you come to northern Nigeria, if you know anything about Nigeria, okay, that's in northern Nigeria. The top part is considered northern Nigeria. There is a huge geographical divide when it comes to gender equality, gender development, just between the north and the south. One country, but the way women are represented, the visibility of women in northern Nigeria is vastly different from the way it is in southern Nigeria. And I know because I've lived at both sides. And okay. Why does my topic matter? It's because when you hear statistics like 80% of the women from where I come from are formally illiterate. We have some places like Jigawa State where 94% of the women there can neither read nor write a single sentence. So I just thought maybe somebody should look at it. And then you find out that girls that are 16 years of age are married already with a child at the age of 16. So that's how we got to my topic. So the question, my research question was, is there a difference in the social representation of women between individuals that come from a polygamous family and a monogamous family? And what I did was a qualitative research. I asked a bunch of people from all socioeconomic backgrounds. I'm talking about laborers, I'm talking about people with PhDs, I'm talking about working women, non-working women. I asked everyone what they thought. And what I did was semi-structured interviews, and just to get them talking about women. And my findings were quite interesting. So there were two major dimensions that I identified. Okay, by the way, some of the interviews went on like, it was supposed to be an hour-long interview, and it went on for 2.5 hours, but I let them talk. Although I didn't enjoy the transcription, but I just let them do it. Somebody has to take one for the team. So what I did identify was there were two major dimensions in this whole conversation that were coming up. One was what I called a conferred identity. I can't say identity because it's the identity that was pushed onto women from this discussion, and it consists of who women are, how they define women. When you ask them what a woman is, this is what comes to their mind. And the second part was what I call functional imagination, what they believe women exist to be, what they believe women are meant to do, their role in the society. And I didn't add society technically as a dimension because Nigeria is a highly collectivist society. So it doesn't matter, you can't really isolate some factors and say, okay, it's going to work as a dimension because our society and our beliefs affect each and every single one of us there. And so both of these, the functional imagination and the conferred identity, were regulated through societal lenses. Okay, so from my findings, the content of social representation, like I told you, it's already divided into this, but from actually my data, nothing really stood out as what was being different, so I changed my approach. I went back and I did the simple analysis to see, okay, when you ask people a question, what did they refer to? Did they go for the identity and did they go for the function? Then the differences started to come out. It so turns out that if I was to visually, there were differences in the process of the representation of the women. The content of the representation did not necessarily differ, but the process, like when you ask somebody from a polygamous family, what would they switch to define what a woman is? And increasingly, I found out that people from polygamous family would use a function of a woman, who they thought the functional imagination of a woman should be, to define what women are. Oh God, I forgot to tell you something really important. The identity consists of things like they believed a woman was a mother, all women were mothers. They believed she was a weaker sex, and her nature, that she was understanding, she was compassionate, and these were how they all thought the identity of women were. And the function included her role in the family, mostly family, foundation, family, always goes back to family. And then domestic labor and care work. So that was some of the themes under the major themes. And then the society aspect consists of religion. We're a highly religious, conservative society. The norms and the beliefs of the people, the power structure, and the sexuality. Because increasingly in my data there was the transposition of the gender onto the sexual. Like when you ask what a woman is, it always moved down to her reproductive labor and things like that. So there's always that happening in the background. And so if I was to visually represent the data for you, this is what a person from a monogamous group would increasingly tell you about women. He would focus on her being a mother. He would focus on her being a teacher, a caregiver, all these things that constituted her identity. And then if you ask somebody from a polygamous family, they use function to define what women were mostly. And then, so what are the implications of this thing? So the most thing that stood out to me was, visibility. Like, for example, if somebody that comes from a polygamous family increasingly uses the external factors that were not her identity to define women, what does it say for these women? For example, it would only reproduce a system of knowledge and ideas that were already deemed discriminative and oppressive towards women, because they will only function of what a woman can do for you, not who she is. That inability to divide a woman from the rest of other women, to see the individuality. And also for the monogamous approach is that it would only constrain her what a woman can be. If you can only think of me as a mother, if you can only think of me as the things like children and family, does that mean that I can't go into politics? Does that mean that I can't do other things that is left for men to do? So yeah, it constrains the identity. And then thank you so much for listening.